All right. Today's class is going to be another perspective, and it will give you yet another technique of how you could use another technique or some kind of performance where you can get into an energy that you're really having a difficulty getting out of that's negative. And we call it the zooming out effect, or it's zooming out. And basically what it is, it's looking at something like this close, right in front of your face, and you can't see the answer. But as soon as you step back, as soon as you, and this is why today's color is white, because when we step back, we are actually stepping back into spirit, because that's where spirit is. At 30,000 feet, spirit is always there. So when we ask a question, and sometimes we wonder, how come they're so insightful? Why is it that spirit is so bang on all the time? And they just know. It's just that because they look at everything as if they're 30,000 feet looking down, and they see you, and you're looking at your little square saying, oh, I'm really having a problem and some challenges here. What do I do? And that's why they could map you out, because they could see the whole county of where everything is flowing. And, oh, yeah, no problem. You're in good shape. And you say, I'm in the thick of the forest. Like, I'm really, and it's dark here. It's okay. Just keep going, because you're not far, because they're looking at it from that bigger perspective. So that's why when we look at zooming out, it is this stepping back sort of technique that we're going to explain and show you today. We're going to give you a couple of examples just before we head into the meditation on exactly how this works, and you'll see it firsthand how it goes. All right, but it is about all stepping back. You know, the story is told about a guy going to the airport, and he's kind of in a hurry. He left a little bit late, got home from work, and he's on his way, and he's really trying to get to the airport as quickly as he can, only to come into rush hour. Like, it's bumper to bumper traffic. And he's really not happy. Frustrated, he's angry, he's sort of hitting the steering wheel. Oh, I should have gone another way or something, not on the main freeway. So he's going through all this frustration, and then fear comes in. Well, what if I'm here and then my flight leaves without me, right? The fear comes in and all of that stuff. And you feel powerless, that I just can't, cross a median, because there's you're in the middle of 6 lanes or something if you're in that city, and you just can't get through. So you have all these things going on, only for you to get to the airport after, sweating through this, and you finally make it onto the plane. I said, oh, thank God I made it. The plane takes off, and then it goes up to a nice height, and then you look down and you see the city from above. And you say, oh, look at the beautiful lights on the traffic. The same traffic you were in that just a few moments ago gave you stress, gave you all this anger and everything. But when you look down, it says, hey, this actually looks beautiful. It actually looks nice, because you're looking at it from that perspective. And some people, and we're going to explain who those people are, they find it next to impossible to have this zooming out effect. They're always living with everything with their eyeballs pretty much to the situation. They just always see everything so close, and they can't understand or see anything else other than that. So one of the first signs you'll find that you need to zoom out, because I want to cover that too, because one of the questions might be, okay, well, what if I'm going along and I have to sign up for a class and I'm feeling I need to take it? Or do I have to zoom out then? Or should I, if it's a family situation and there's family dynamics going on and things are really stressful, do I need to zoom out then? So just want to give you some ideas of when you need to zoom out. Your very first sign that you need to do this zooming out effect is when you start to get confused and you don't know what to do. Because that's the precise time that most people start to panic. They start to get stressed. They start to realize, oh, what am I going to do? Like, this is crazy. And so the confusion comes in, but there's no action. In other words, you're confused. You might not know what to do. And they says, okay, now what do I do? This is the first sign you need to just step back. No more knee-jerk reactions to insight that says, I don't know what to do. It's okay. You don't need to. You don't need to know what to do. Okay? That's the beauty about all of this. So when you do that, it gives you that opportunity to either research whatever you're going to do. If you have to get into a course, find out if this course is really valid in whatever it is that you're training for. If it's something that, yeah, down the road, it could be of value, then that's part of the research, and you'll get a gut feeling whether that's going to be a good thing. You also want to look at all your options in this time that you're stepping back. Every option, even if it's outlandish, crazy, out there. Like sometimes I'll come up with ideas that are just like, wow, where'd that come from, Tony? And it's just things that we have to have crazy options, because sometimes those crazy options, when they amalgamate it with something else, is, wait a second, well, that won't be an option, and this one. But if we get a little bit of each, that might be a situation. And when we look at brainstorming, this is one of the great things that many of us, there's a few coaches that we have out there, that when you look at the different options you have in life or in business, you got to list everything. Like, let's go online and put everything we have online with our business. Well, that is good for some, but it might not be valid for all businesses. When you look at a toy store, or if you have a business that people have to sit on something to, like, cars. I mean, they have online cars, but down the road, they have to be someplace where they can take it for a test drive. So there has to be some element of it. But to go really out there, you could say, why don't we just text everybody what our deals are every week? Of course, we can't. But, if somebody would suggest that, he said, well, no, we can't do that because of various laws. However, we can do this. We can do the customers that we have. We can ask them for permission and see if we could send that out at different times. And if they're looking for a certain vehicle, or if they're looking for a certain product or a service, then we could sort of, hey, by the way, George, that thing that you talked about 6 months ago, it's coming up. If you want to come into our showroom, or if you want to, I can send you a picture and we can go from there. That's it. These are all great ideas, but it had to come from something that you listed as options. When you're also looking at it and you still don't know what to do, you can either meditate, use your intuition. You could do dowsing, which is a pendulum idea. We haven't talked much about pendulums. They're an amazing thing, by the way. We might do a segment on that someday. Or you could do muscle testing. Those of you that are massage therapists, or that you know a little bit about kinesiology, when you ask a question, you could push one of your muscles, and the weakness of the muscle will tell you that it's a no, and if it's strong, it'll be a yes. It's amazing how the body works. The body just knows all of that. So there are different techniques of how you could get a yes or no answer, or something that will drive you to the point where you feel confident moving forward. But it also, when you step back, it gives you that emotional, spiritual, mental, physical rest, that you don't have to make a decision right now. And that actually breeds character. When somebody just blurts out something and there's no thinking on it or anything, sometimes you need that in a 911 situation. But if it's not, life-threatening, it's something certainly that you could just step back and say, well, let me just think about this, because in the beginning, this sounds like a good idea. But when I start thinking about it, I say, wait a second, there's this problem, and then there could be that problem. For instance, there was one particular business that wanted to come into our group for Phoenix. And one of the products was that they had a device that they could put in their car. They could type a certain message. Let's say there's a special on, let's say, canoes this weekend. And they would have this message, and this device would signal every iPhone owner or every Android phone owners this message if they're within 300 yards away. So they're just driving around the city, and now all the phones are going off because of this device. And so this sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? And then you think about it, now, wait a second. Nobody has permission to be doing You could only imagine going into a busy intersection or a busy street. You could actually signal 1,000 phones in like 2 minutes, easy. If it's in traffic or if it's in a busy area, because iPhones are one of the hottest products, and you could signal every iPhone. When you start thinking about it, it says, oh, no, this is not a good idea. I don't know if I want my phone just going off because somebody drove by. I don't even know them. So that would be a negative thing. And if other people found out they were part of our group, that would be negative to us. So in the beginning, something may seem like a good idea. So it's this zooming out technique that you just say, okay, it sounds good, but let me just sort of get my head wrapped around this and look at the pros and cons and so on. And that's when other things come into play. So that's what you're kind of doing there. So you're asking yourself, okay, if we have to do something and we're getting this signal to do it, you're going to ask yourself a couple of additional questions. Questions are something that we worked on last week. I posted the whole class for that on the YouTube station, on our YouTube channel, okay? And I could give you the link for that. But those that have that, all the classes are posted there. Although we've been sort of ousted from Facebook because we said something that Facebook didn't like, I guess the word self-healing is a no-no. So we won't be doing that again. But either way, it doesn't matter. The idea is the message still gets through. And you ask yourself, well, do I need to do this right now? Whatever it is it a 911 to do it right now? If it is, okay, then you move to the next one. Do I need to do it right away? Do I need help? Do I need a coach? Do I need somebody who's done this before? If it's a no, okay, you could go ahead and do it yourself. Or if it's something that is really unfamiliar, then you get somebody who has been there, who has done that before, and maybe get some pointers. Do I need to build a tribe in this case, or build up a team of people around me? Do I need to do that? And how do I do that? So all of these things will already be part of your decision making, right? And this is the important part, is how do we do this so that we are stopping the knee-jerk reactions to life? It's sunny outside. Oh, I need some sunscreen. I got to really be careful. It's going to be raining. Oh, I need a raincoat. It's going to be 20 below. Oh, and everything is a reaction. It doesn't need to be that way. So when you are used to this technique of zooming out of something to get a bigger perspective, you really start becoming, in this case, more intelligent, because not everything is going to be humanly, hang on sort of thing. So it's all about building that time. What it also does is when you step back, it gives you time to look at the different perspectives and set up strategies. Because what one thing will do is when you're going into something, you're looking at all of the various factors. One is the idea. Then you're looking at, is this viable? How expensive is this? Is this something that could be canceled? Does someone else have control of this? Right? And so, like for instance, when I got suspended from Facebook, well, one of my first reactions were, okay, let's just step back. And I was asking Spirit, do I even need to be on Facebook? Right? It wasn't a big deal. And Spirit says, not at this time. I need to keep a low profile. So right away, it's like, oh, okay. So I wasn't upset because for some reason I had to be under the radar about something else. So, okay. So what is then the other thing is then choose a platform that is more independent, that isn't so censored all the time. Okay. And so we're looking at those options, but that gives you that time where you're working things out, and it doesn't create that fear or that security thing that most people are afraid of. The other thing it does is it keeps you silent, and that's so important because your head, there's sometimes there's so many things in our head. There's the kids, there's the business, what's going to happen with my home, what's going to happen with the taxes, the food shortages, and all the things. There's so many things in us. Sometimes we just need to step back, zoom out a little bit, and just watch the birds. Look at the trees in your backyard. One of the episodes of Andy Griffith's show that I really like, and it's called I forget what the title was, but the essence was to take an apple and a knife and to start cutting the peel of the apple in a circle where in the end the apple peel is in one piece. Okay, all the way around, and it takes time. You got to take it's patience about that, and that's a long lost art. The other thing about it, I think I was reading out something about architecture a few weeks ago, and in the 60s, and before, of course, they were building houses with front porches. I don't know if you look, if you know, some of these houses are still up, by the way, you could look at it, and there's that nice front porch where you could put a rocking chair or a chair, and it's so close to the road. So that as people were driving by, or no, it wasn't in the 60s, they were mostly walking. You know, we do a lot of driving these days, but in those days they were walking. It says, "Hey, Joan, how you doing?" And they were chatting from the porch. And then somebody had mentioned that there was an evolution and a mandate given to architects to say, we don't want people to keep doing that. We want them to be more disconnected with other people. So wherever that came from, houses were then starting to be designed where they didn't have front porches. They had like little areas where you'd come up and there was like a little overhang, but it wasn't something that you could sit at because you're right in front of the door sort of thing. So they were really not wanting to have front porches. And if you look at many porches that are in Texas and Alabama, I saw some pictures there. They have what's called the wraparound porch. This is a porch that goes all the way around the house. And, you know, sometimes in some movies, people will make reference to this where, oh, my dream is to have a wraparound porch. And it's amazing. And this is like 50 years later. And they still want this because, you know, they could see the sunset at any point because it's a beautiful porch outside. So it's an amazing sort of an aspiration to do that. But that's because in a porch, especially on the second level, when that wraps around or whatever, you see things at a higher level. You see things down and everything is so clear and in that. But one of the things that makes us really stressful in this zooming out effect is that we are trying to get away from things. I mean, think about a friend or a situation or a family member or someone that is really always talking about themselves, and they're really at a point where you don't want to really be around them. You know, you want to say, I got to get this person out of my life. It's just like every time I say, hey, my grandson did this, that, and the other thing. Oh, that's great. My grandson did too. And look at me. We see that you see that quite a bit. And so when we think ourselves, okay, how do I get this person out of my life? So it's about subtraction is that concept. And that's impossible. You can't subtract anything out of your mind. It defies law, because subtraction and division is exactly what the problem we are having in our society. We are dividing people, whether it's color, whether it's medical standards, or whether it's whatever it is. We're medically, we gotta keep everybody apart and separated. And the latest article I just read this morning is that many things that are coming out are wanting people to get rid of their pets. I'm not sure if you saw this morning. They said, get rid of your pets because they're just a nuisance, because pets are considered one of the best for giving love, receiving love that's unconditional. And again, it's a way for us to be disconnected from life. As soon as we get rid of our pets, what else is left? We're on our own, and we can't be on our own. We have to be around people. We are social beings, so we have to be around people that way. So subtraction and division doesn't work. So what actually works? Well, it's the other way. We work on basically addition and multiplication. That's the way our mind works. So when you want to get rid of something in your head, you don't say, okay, I got to stop thinking of this person. Well, what's happening? I'm thinking about this person all day. You know? So you can't do it that way. So what you need to do is say, instead of looking at this person, thinking of this person, I'm going to bring in grandma. I want to think about her. And just the fact that we're thinking about her right away, the other one isn't there. So you have to add something and not take something away, right? It's like the process of dilution. We mentioned this in one class, where if you take a beaker of water, let's say there's 10,000 drops of water in this beaker, in this bowl, and we put one drop of blue dye in this water. One out of 10,000, you'll see the water a little bit blue. It has a bit of the tinge of blue. So you can't subtract that. All you can do is what? Add more water to dilute it to the point where it's just as crystal clear as it was before. And that's really how the mind works, is by adding something. So when people say, I'm looking for more money, I got to get out of the self-sabotage, and you're trying to take out sabotage. It's impossible. Or I have to take out this lack of money that I feel. That's impossible. So what you need to add is that I am prosperous. But when you say that in a way that you still feel like you're lacking, then it's the process of dilution. It doesn't mean it's not working. It just means there's so much blue dye in this example that it takes more water to water down that thought to make it so you feel more abundant. It's a long process. It is easier to say than it is to do, but the process is basically adding something. You're always trying to add something to get rid of something else. Like if I gave you, let's say, a black medicine ball, okay, and it's heavy, and you're saying, wow, this is really heavy. And then I have a white balloon, and I'm going to say to myself, okay, this is a pretty big balloon. I'm going to toss this balloon to you, and I want you to catch it. So you're thinking for a second, how on earth am I going to, because I'm holding this medicine ball and it's heavy. How can I, and you can't carry both. So what happens? You let go of the medicine ball to catch the balloon. You let something go because something was added. It's that kind of thing. The same happens for trauma. Any traumatic instance that happens, you can't take that memory out. It's in there. So you're going to have to add something that, okay, what was the gift in that? What was the higher purpose of that? When we start asking those questions, you're adding something. When then different zooming out techniques are starting to happen then. And that's a great thing. But when we are zooming out, one of the things that people really have a hard time with is that putting yourself in their shoes. Sometimes that is a technique that's really good. Being able to see a situation and think you got it sold, oh yeah, I know what's happening when you look at something, and you don't ask any questions, you just assume and judge. And sometimes it really backfires. Like the story about the father that walked into a doctor's office, a waiting room, with 5 children. And he sits down and he's just exhausted. And the children are just running all over the place with the magazines going up in the air, and they're crawling all over the tables and underneath the chairs and everything, and they're really creating quite a ruckus. And one man is off to one side and he's just getting annoyed. He says, "Oh man, come on, Dad, you can get yourself and control these kids." And there's 5 kids, and they're all loud and they're going through their thing. Finally, this man gets really upset, and he goes up to this father and he says, "Sir, can you not control your kids? What kind of a parent are you?" Then the father responds by saying, "The kids just found out their mother died this morning, and I don't know what to do." Right away, now that he's asked a question in a very rude way, boy, that's a question that's really hard to eat. Now, you've really embarrassed yourself, because you could have asked a question, "I noticed your kids are a little ruckus. Is there anything I can do?" Wouldn't that be a little different as a question? But assuming that he doesn't know how to be a parent, and then in that situation, you had 5 kids, what would you do with 5 kids finding out, you're one of them and your mom died? And they're all under 7 years old or 8 years old, whatever. But so the point is that ask questions in a polite way to gain clarity. Because if it is something like that, it's easier to eat those sweeter words than it is going the other way. So putting yourself in those shoes are really a thing. Now, I heard something the other day in one of an interview, and it was about this lady. She went through so many years of being overweight, and she figures, you know what? Now I'm ready. I've always wanted to find a way to eat healthy and exercise and just do all the things that I've always wanted to do to start losing weight. And she did. She was really successful. She started going out with people that were really empowering. She started to talk and look at all the shows and eat the foods, cook more, less of the TV dinners, less of the processed foods. Anyway, what all those things that she found out needed to do, she did. And she did really great. And she started to look great. She started to lose a lot of weight. And then one of her friends came up to her and says, Joan, every time I look at you, I feel awful because it's a reminder of what I'm not doing. Could you stop it? And right away, the whole energy changed right away. He says, so you're looking at the way I'm doing it and you feel uncomfortable because you are doing something that you're not ready to do and you're blaming me for your shortfall. And that changed the energy back. So in other words, this lady just got insulted massively. So she could have reacted in a very oh, who do you think you are? She didn't do that. She was so great. I would give her like a 10 out of 10 for the answer that she gave back to this lady. It's not my fault for your shortfall. I was ready, and it's simply that you're not. It's okay. Do you want to know how I do it? No. It just means you're not ready. I was ready. I denied a lot of those things as I was developing too. And I just got to the point where enough was enough. I was looking in the mirror and somebody said I had to look sexy in that mirror. And I just saw, nope, I'm going to change this right now, starting today. And she cleaned out her fridge, actually threw away good food that was processed and started buying healthy foods. That's how committed she was. But you have to be at a certain vibration to do that. And for a friend to say that to another friend, I thought that was, wow, I just didn't see that coming. So it was really amazing. So when you're zooming out, that's why some people can't do it, because they just want the whole world to be right in front of their face. They don't think that stepping back will be a thing. They don't think that it'll be any different. They'll still see, now I see a mess and now I see a bigger mess. And that might be true, but maybe step back a little farther and back a little farther until you see something that you can change, and then work your way in after. Use some technique, but don't use judgment as your Band-Aid sort of thing. Another way that people can't step out of this, and you might have people that you know about this, is that these people have the belief that their brain and their mind is in the same place. He says, what do you mean? Well, they think that their mind is in their head, and it isn't. Your brain is in your head. Your mind is wherever you're going to focus on that will start to make those changes. It is something, it could be in your gallbladder, it could be in your stomach, it could be on your left knee. That's where your mind is, because that's your attention to focus. That's where you want those energies to go. This is where distance healing comes in. When I do a distance healing with somebody that's in South America, my brain is here, but my mind is in South America taking care of that client. That's what distance healing is all about. It's about getting this energy over there, and it's just as powerful. So, okay, we're going to do a very, very quick exercise before we get into the meditation, okay? I want you to take a couple of deep breaths, okay? We're going to have some fun here. Take a couple of deep breaths. Okay, now I want you to, without looking at your hands, I just want you to focus your mind on your hands. Okay? So I want you to put your attention on your hands and attention on your fingers. Then look at your palms of your hand. You can put your hands up and down if you like. You could move it. And within the next couple of seconds, you'll probably feel some kind of buzz in your hand because your mind is in there. Okay? Just sort of flicker your fingers a little bit and put your mind right in there. See if you can feel that vibration, sense it. And I want you to notice that the longer you're focusing on your hands, the more you're starting to feel more energy coming out of your hands. You could start to maybe even feel the pulsing of your blood through the veins of your hands. Okay, the vibrations. Okay, now I want you to go even deeper, right into the soul of your hands, if there's such a thing. And I want you to put 100% of your attention, your mind, in your hands. That this is the most amazing gift that God has given you, that Spirit has given you, that we have these hands that could make things happen. It builds houses. It builds families. It builds communities with these hands. And these hands are always there to serve you. And put all your attention on it and just see if you start to feel that it's now starting to really pulsate. You're really starting to feel that energy. And then without looking, I want you to put your hands so that they're facing each other about 6 inches apart, almost like you're about to clap. And I want you to feel the energy going from one hand to the other. Just hold it and feel that love going from one hand to the other. Take a nice deep breath of calm energy and blow in between the two hands. And see if you can feel any difference of what happened. Okay, how many people's hands are really pulsing right about now? You're really feeling that energy in your hand, that resonation. Okay? You feel that? Okay. That's your mind doing this miracle thing that we call self-healing. And it's that focus that changes everything. And when a person has their mind and their brain in the same place, can you see that they cannot zoom out? Impossible. Because every time they move, their mind moves. And so it's just like a two-step program where they could separate, but they don't. They think their mind and their brain are the same thing. But as soon as you focus, and sometimes we'll do that, sometimes we'll think of your grandmother, or you'll think of, I hope the kids are okay in school, or I hope this trip that we're going to be on, everything works well. Well, when you do that, your mind goes there and checks up on them, making sure that everything is okay. When it comes back, you feel okay. Just try as a parent to have a child with a curfew of 10 o'clock, and now it's 10:30. What is the first thing that's on your mind? That they're half hour late on their curfew. If you're a parent and you've experienced this, one of the first questions is, I hope they're okay. Like my mom would say something like, I hope they're not dead in the ditch somewhere. It's just, no, it's okay. And all you need to do is separate your mind and go where your kids are, or go where your loved ones are, or go where your pet is, whatever. And then just get a reading. And it's like, okay, no, I'm getting they're okay. I'm getting they're okay. Not that I think they're okay. As soon as you say the word think, your mind is involved. You got to get away from that. What are you getting? Not what you're thinking. We don't care what you're thinking, because thinking is always negative. But what are you getting? Well, my mind says things could go wrong, but I'm getting they're okay. Okay, you separate those. All right, in this in this meditation, we're going to play the mountain meditation again. This is so appropriate for this particular thing of the zooming out. When this music starts, I want you to think or put yourself at the base of a mountain. And I want you to look down of wherever you are, roughly a 10 by 10 area. Or for those people that are metric, it'll be 3 meters by 3 meters. Okay. So let's say a 10 by 10, and you're just looking at the grass, or you're looking at the rocks, or you're looking at whatever you're looking at over this little perspective. And if you have a challenge that you're going through right now, whatever the challenge is, like how to increase your business or how to give more to your kids or whatever it is that's going on, whatever challenge that you're going through, I want you to use this technique of looking at this 10 by 10, and this area represents the issue, the problem, or the thing that you're thinking about. It might not even be a problem, but it might be something you're worried about or wondering how to get past. And you look at this 10 by 10 area, okay, and just think of that for a couple of minutes, that this area represents this issue. Okay, once it's really in your head, then what I want you to do is start looking up at the mountain, right to the very top of the mountain. And then I want your mind to go there. So your mind will be at the summit of this mountain, looking down at you. What do you see? Okay, that's it. That's the question. Let's see what kind of responses that we get. Okay, is that pretty clear for everybody? I hope that was clear. Anybody that's not clear, I can clarify it. Okay, you're basically looking at your area right now, looking up to the top, and get your mind out of your head and put it to the top of the mountain, looking down at you, so that it can see your issue, but it can also see the entire lay of the land. And let's see what comes up. All right. Okay, take a nice deep breath, breathe in the color white. Because anytime we step back, we step out, we send things out, it's all about white light. Okay, it's all about things that are this purity, this incredible, powerful energy that we have. Okay, we'll see you in about 13 minutes. The snow glows white on the mountainside, not a footprint to be seen. A place of isolation, and no one here is mean. The wind is howling like my childhood storm inside. Couldn't keep it in. Heaven knows I've tried. Didn't let them in. Didn't let them see. Be the good child you always had to be. Conceal it. Don't feel it. Don't say a word. Stay in a corner so you are not heard. Don't let them know who you are, as your real identity hides too far. The mountain says, let it go, let it grow. Can't hold it back anymore. Let go of the fight. Let go of the angry stack. Turn away and then don't look back. I don't care what they're going to say. The mountain inside of me is going to stay. Let the outside storm rage on. The mountain's wind protects me till dawn. It's funny how the mountains make everything seem so small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's time to see what I can do to test the limits and break through. It's time to let the mountain out inside of me. It's time for me to just be. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I am finally free. Let it go. Let me grow. I'm peaceful as the mountain snow. I am one with the wind and sky. You'll never hear me cry. Here I stand, and here I stay. Let the storm rage on for another day. My power of the wind is blowing to the peaks. My soul is spiraling, creating cloudy streaks. And some had thought that I was weak and always last. I'm never going back. The past is in the past. Let me grow. Please let me grow. Just stand back and watch me glow. And I will rise with the dawn. That perceived perfect child is long gone. Here I stand in the light of day, with nothing to prove and no one to pay. For the mountain I climb is not for others to look up at me. It's the inner mountain I climb. That's my identity. No more pretending and no more shame. The size of the mountain and I are the same. You slowly come out of the state that you're in. Try and remember what you felt, what you saw, and if a new perspective came up in this issue you were focusing on. Was there something that came out of the blue that you didn't expect? It's interesting that the synchronicity, it's now 222. You've basically means that you've now paired up perfectly with yourself. It's all about partnership of you. You slowly come back in the room and see if you can bring something back with you that might give you perhaps the next step in finding the answer, or another step. Sometimes we don't need to know all the steps, just the next one. So just real quick, called me to move and bring my arms up to the sky. Okay. So the top perspective saw something way different than what you saw on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how we see things. So use this technique to find out anything that you've come at a crossroads with something, and it could be anything. This could be applied anywhere, and you just don't know what to do. So if you use this and then you have that zooming out effect and say, okay, what am I getting that are some of the options? And you just do it one at a time, and they start coming. The answers start coming. If it doesn't come, because there's one person that perhaps doesn't want to say they didn't get anything, that's okay. The vibrations in this particular meditation will help with that. You just need to listen to it at least 7 times over the course of the next while. You could do it every day or over the next few weeks. It's up to you. But after the 7th time, that pattern of energy will help let things go enough that some more things are going to start coming in. One reason why sometimes you can't add anything is because you're already saturated. I mean, think about it. If you're already way overstressed and your mind's going in like 5 different locations, 5 different directions, and then somebody says, could you please stir the spaghetti sauce that's on the stove? No, I can't. I'm just overwhelmed. In other words, something so simple, they can't do it because it's overwhelming. It's too much. So something has to leave for something else to come in. Yes, you can bring something in, but if you're already saturated and you're holding on to it, it makes it more difficult. And that's why some people can't do this. I got this one channeling just before class that I want to read you. Just so you can understand when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to understand that you really want to help this person. You give them advice, you give them techniques, you show them how to do it, you actually lead the horse to water, and they don't do it. Everything you've just said, they do the exact opposite. They just don't do anything. And sometimes we figured, well, it's so easy. Why can't they do it? And so this is a sort of a quick explanation or a quote that might give you some light as to why people can't do it. And the quote goes like this: for those that can't zoom out, sometimes it's easier to stay in a cloud of negativity than to separate yourself into the fog towards freedom. When a person is so deep in darkness, sometimes it's just easier not to do anything. I just sort of, they throw their hands up. No, I can't do it. Rather than just taking the leap of faith, going into the fog towards something that could be greater, but it's an unknown, right? That's what holds them back. They'd rather hold on to something that's prickly rather than something on the other end that might be softer because it's familiar. I hope this was a class that you got something out of, that you could perhaps apply to your everyday life or apply to whatever it is that you're going through. And have yourself a great weekend. I love you all. And I will try and find another platform where we could converse and share things. But anyway, don't be a stranger. You could send out things. You still have my contact info. You already have my e-card, so you already have that. Take care, everybody. Have yourself a great weekend, and love you all. Okay, bye-bye now.